Bum-ba-da-dum. Howdy y'all, Banjo Ben here in the key of D, and we're going to learn a very special fiddle tune for me as a dad. This is actually the first fiddle tune that I've written since moving back to Texas from Nashville, and I wrote it right after hanging out with my oldest, 12-year-old Charlie, Belle. So I called it Belle's Hornpipe, and it kind of reminds me of her, especially the B part. When it does that little slide up, that's what she does with her eyebrow whenever I try to pull something over on her. She's pretty hard to trick. Of course, anybody would if they've been kidded like I kid them. So you dads know what I'm talking about out there. Hey, if you're watching here as a Gold Pick member on the website, banjobenclark.com, you have everything you need right here on this page. Just download the tabs, the MP3 jam tracks, the full lesson. If you're watching somewhere else, I'd love to have you on board as a Gold Pick member. We'll dive into this song. We'll talk about how to play those potatoes to get into it, the A and B parts, and then we're also going to cover the rhythm. I've got kind of a funny chord in there for a fiddle tune. Did you hear it in the B part? We've got a 3 minor, which we don't hear in a lot of songs, but I think it sounds pretty doggone cool. So let's jump right in. Before we jump into the actual notes of the song, I want to do a fiddle tune overview for you because the tab looks a little different than some of my other fiddle tunes. Let's check it out here. This is the guitar tab for it, but if you're watching the mandolin lesson, everything's going to be the same here. We're actually going to start out on the guitar version with some potatoes, and that's just where we're going to establish the tempo of the song. It's not really part of the fiddle tune. It's just something to let other folks know how to come in, and if you want to know more about that, I have a whole lesson. And then we start in A part. Most fiddle tunes has 2 A parts and 2 B parts, each of them being 8 measures long. And this first A part is 8 measures long, but we're going to play the 2 A parts identical to one another. So what we have here, which you see in a lot of fiddle tunes, are repeat signs. So you're going to play through the first 8 measures, then you're going to repeat, and that's sending you back to play it yet one more time so that we have 16 total measures played before we go into the B part. The B part's going to be 8 measures as well, but it's going to end a little differently. So the last 2 measures of the first B part is going to be different from this last 2 measures of the second B part, which is why we can't just repeat. Then we're going to go into our ending, and our ending is 4 measures long. And as you probably know, if you've been taking lessons around here for very long, I love to incorporate part of the fiddle tune into the ending. So that's why these licks here in the ending look a whole lot like the licks of the B part. I think that's a lot of fun to do and just gives you something different than that standard old shave and a haircut. We do that all the time, so it's fun to expand our ending vocabulary. Okay, let's jump right into that A part now. Let's learn some Belle's Hornpipe on guitar, but it's in the key of D, not G. You know, when we have songs in the key of D, you have to make a decision. Are you going to play out of open D position, as we're going to do here? Or you could always cape up 2 and play out of a C position. I like to practice both, and we're going to be out of a D position for this one. Now, this is a hornpipe, and typically hornpipes have a weighted 8th note fill, like a dotted 8th note fill. So, versus the straight. If I were to play it straight, it'd sound like this. Versus the weighted. So we're going to try to make it swingy, make them have that weighted feel. And to kick the song off, let's go ahead and pull off that tab. We've got some potatoes. And these just are used to set the tempo of the song and the feel of the song, the groove. How much are you swinging those notes? It lets other people know when to come in. I have a whole lesson on potatoes, so you can watch that there. But we're going to slide into that D note. Then we come into the first A part. And the A part's not very tricky. The B part's where we get into some cross-picking, a little bit more challenge. But I'll go ahead and play this first line for you. So again, not very tricky. We are covering some strings there, and I encourage you to watch your pick strokes. But one of the technique things that might help you make it sound better is I like to leave my fingers down as long as I can, within reason, until I'm forced to pick them up, because that helps the resonance of the notes. So, for instance, when I'm playing that first, second fret there, hear all of those overtones? Sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you do, and I think we do here. Same thing when we go to the next measure, that third fret up here. I'm going to leave it down as I play that open E string. Versus, we're going to have. And I like to leave those down, make that A chord. When we go to the next line, we have a lot of repeating, don't we? The whole line's almost the exact same. Second half of the line is not. It's a little bit different, and that lick sounds like this. Now we have to do something a little tricky there whenever we're getting to the end of measure 59. We've got those 2/3 frets in a row, right here and right here. And rather than play two different fingers, I like to just bar it across. You could fret it if you wanted, but I think it's easier to bar. Okay, then the next thing we'll do is just repeat that A part again. It's exactly the same the next time through in case you wanted to create your own variation. And then we go into the B parts. But before we move on, let's play the potatoes and all the way through a single A part. Just try to play it along with me. And we'll play the whole thing slower later through the whole tune. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's push on into the B part, study the ending, and then we're also going to work on the chords that it requires for the backup. If you're watching somewhere else besides banjobenclark.com, what are you waiting for? Come on over to the site. Join as a Gold Peak member. You'll get tabs for this lesson, the Jam Track MP3s, along with hundreds of more lessons. I'd be honored to have you on board.